Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is the Rudy Giuliani Show on LindellTV. Well, we just had a beautiful storm here, if you can call a storm beautiful. Ted, I mean, Rob, let's show it to them. Pretty nice, huh?
And that rainbow was coming down right in the field between us and the trees. Very unusual to see live, I'll tell you. Beautiful. It was.
There's a longer shot of it.
Look at that.
That beautiful? That's Dover, New Hampshire.
We had a
That's what
sun
you're looking
shower.
at. Dover, New Hampshire. So, the D.C. crime numbers are quite impressive. The president went through them. We're going to put on a clip from him in a moment to talk about D.C. and to talk about his new initiatives. But let's just take a look at that. Violent crime is down 32%. Carjackings are down 86%. Homicides are down 60%. Robberies are down 47%. Assaults with dangerous weapons down 18%. Property crime down 16%. And we're going on 8 days now without a murder, which is the longest in since they've been recording crime in the District of Columbia. So, and so today the president announced that we would. I think it might be good if you go back to me now. I think we've had that up long enough. They must be tired of it. So the president today made two announcements. He made actually a number of announcements, but he made two relating to crime and relating to, I guess, to follow up from D.C. First of all, he indicated that his next stops are going to be Chicago. And at one point he said Baltimore, another point he said New York. And but before that, he signed an executive order that prohibits, that basically penalizes states that have cashless bail. In other words, no, you can't put up bail. People are just released. The Democrat, the more extreme Democrat, left-wing, socialist-leaning, communist-leaning states have that. New York has that big time. In fact, Andrew Cuomo, who's running for mayor of New York, is the one who passed that. And it's been a disaster in New York. From the time it was passed in 2018 or 19, crimes have gone up, even with the decline this year over last year in some of the crimes. Like rape is up 60%. Other crimes are down 20% or so from last year. But they're up since pre-COVID or pre-Cuomo and the left-wing socialist democratic assemblies. No bail. People just are let out. The young people, 17, 16, are treated as babies. There's no longer an ability to treat them as adults, even if they murder their parents and their brothers and sisters and everybody else around town. They also have put in a rule for discovery, which no one really understands, but it results in the dismissal of a lot of cases. Prosecutor has to turn over his file within like 30 days. They basically pass laws that would benefit criminals. And they have benefited criminals. There were probably somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 criminals walking the streets of New York that if New York were governed by people who understand safety and provide for the safety of people, we would end up with those people being in jail during this period of time. So the president has signed an executive order, and what the executive order says that you cannot provide a statute like that. You can't have a situation where there's no bail. And if you do, then the penalty will be your aid, maybe your aid relating to the criminal justice programs, maybe your aid in general. I'm not sure exactly how broad that is, but a good deal of your aid will be cut. Federal aid will be cut. That's with regard to cashless bail. He's also done an executive order providing that burning the American flag will be treated under the incitement to riot statute as a one-year crime. I don't know if there's a provision for a second offense. I had always thought it would be good to make it a one-year misdemeanor first time and a 5-year felony second time. But I'm not sure that it contains that, but I'm glad that it contains what it contains. So why don't we have why don't we play some of his press conference this morning, press meeting this morning when he talked about that.
So I'll start signing the executive orders. To me, this is a very, very big deal. One of the executive orders has to do with cashless bail. That was when the big crime in this country started. And I can tell you who did it, when, but I don't want to do that because others followed pretty quickly. But that was when it happened. Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again. And I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street. Any street all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in D.C., and that we have the right to do through federalization. When you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement is. Incite
to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get.
Well, that's a long time coming, and I'm glad that this great president did that. It's becoming ridiculous with these people burning the American flag and then holding up flags of terrorist groups and countries that are opposed to us, and Iran that wants to kill us, and they burn the American flag, which is, of course, what they're taught in their school. They're taught to hate America. That's part of our education. Our American educational syllabus is geared around hating America. Well, you know why. We've talked about it often enough, because it is Marxist influenced. It's not a coincidence that our educational system, when you look at the biases of it, are all come right out of Karl Marx and Frederick Engels, and then those who interpret them afterwards. So cashless bail. Let's see. I'm sure the Democrats will oppose this. They've gone completely insane. Anything he does, they do the opposite. So he just brought down crime by ridiculous numbers in Washington. He had no murders for an entire 7-8 day period. That probably about 70% favored black people, by the way. The rate is about 8 out of 10. The black people who were shot and killed in D.C. It's about 7.4 or something like that out of 10. But instead of saying, "Hey, good job," or you think of Chicago. I mean, Chicago has weekend murders like there's no tomorrow. It's like a shooting gallery. And now, one would think that if the mayor were interested in saving the lives of his people, he would want the president to do with the National Guard and the federal agents the same things in Chicago they did in D.C. Wouldn't he like to have a 30-40% decline in homicide? I guess not. I mean, he'd rather have people killed than give Trump. The way they look at it is, if they do anything, they give Trump a win. Well, since he's the president of the United States, assuming he doesn't do everything that's wrong, which is what they're hurting the country. You got to analyze what he's doing with objectivity and common sense, and support the things that help the American people, and then oppose the things that you truly believe are going to hurt the country or not help. It can't possibly be that reducing crime in Chicago and New York and Baltimore hurts the American people.
We have Lawler.
I remember when I became the U.S. attorney, this is before I was mayor, Ed Koch, I'm not going to say begged me. He wasn't the kind of person that begged, but I mean, it was kind of pleaded with me, let's put it that way, to use my federal resources to help New York City reduce crime. Well, I couldn't bring out the National Guard, but I did a program called Federal Day, which used to be quite famous. And it's really how I developed a lot of my ideas that I then used as mayor. People don't realize that I was involved in a lot of New York City law enforcement, particularly with the police commissioner, who I became a partner with, Commissioner Ben Ward. And he wanted my help. And Ronald Reagan and the Justice Department under Ronald Reagan had done a whole violent crime task force to see. The whole purpose of it was, look, I ran it, so I know the purpose of it. The whole purpose of it was to see how we could help, how the federal government could appropriately help the cities that were in terrible trouble using federal laws, federal resources where we could. And we didn't have any opposition to it. Then there was then still Democrat mayors mostly, and they worked with us. The commission, the Violent Crime Task Force was, I've forgotten the exact number, but it was pretty much like 5-4, 5-3 Republican, Democrat. Pardon me? We have Congressman Lawler. We have that. Oh, well, now, the president did say he wants to go to New York. So the question is, how is New York going to react to it? And this is the congressman. He's from what we call in New York City, upstate New York, but he is quite knowledgeable about New York. And I think he made a very good point here on Sunday television. Why don't we listen to this?
Though, that we have also been discussing with the governor, that is crime. The president of the United States has mentioned New York as another city he wants to look at to deploy National Guard troops. Do you think that's the best use of federal taxpayer dollars? And are you comfortable with that happening in your state?
Well, crime has been a major problem in New York for years, and Kathy Hochul and Albany and New York City Democrats have failed miserably to tackle this crime crisis.
But you want National Guard troops.
By the way, Kathy Hochul has mobilized National Guard's troops to go into the subway system because of the crime in the subway system. So that has been done, obviously, for the purpose of surging resources and trying to prevent crime. Yeah. When you look at the fact that in New York City, for instance, 80% of gun crimes do not result in a conviction or prosecution, that 80% of these individuals are released back out onto the street despite using guns in the commission of a crime. You look at Washington, D.C., 1.7% of gun crime convictions result in jail time. So when Democrats talk about gun violence, How come they don't want to actually prosecute and enforce the law against criminals who are using guns in the commission of a crime?
No,
This is
but that's a local
problem,
that's a
and it's
local
why
issue
the
that would need to
rate-
get changed. But in
No,
terms
but
of the
this-
question on the troops, you'd
but-
rather
but
troops
Margaret,
than
this is why the
FBI agents or
homicide rate
ATF
is so high.
agents or DEA agents. You don't want federal agents who are trained law enforcement officers in New York City. You would rather National Guardsmen who have to
all
be
of the
trained to
above.
police?
No. Don't put words in my mouth. I'd rather all of the above. The FBI, the DEA, ATF. I've met with ATF just a few weeks ago in my office on this very issue of really cracking down on gun crimes and prosecuting criminals who use guns in the commission of a crime.
Well, that's exactly what I did in the 1980s as the U.S. attorney. Exactly what he's talking about. I didn't use the National Guard, but I used all those federal agents, and to the maximum extent that I could. I utilized federal laws to help the city, and the mayor asked me to do it, and the Republican congressman that then represented what used to be called the Silk Stocking District. We don't have a Republican congressman from Manhattan any longer. It's Congressman Green, by the way. They both asked me to do it, and any number of city council members. And as I said, they were very appreciative of what I did and what the Justice Department helped with. And of course, it's amazing how it's like she was a Democratic member of Congress debating him on the floor of Congress. She doesn't treat a Democrat that way, the way she did with Lawler. Of course, he beat the hell out of her because he's a hell of a lot smarter than she is. I remember what a jerk she made out of herself during one of the presidential debates. But in any event, Lawler really made the point. And it's going to be really hard for them to complain about the National Guard in New York when Hochul used it. It's okay for Hochul to use it, but not for the President of the United States. I mean, that's absurd. It's the same National Guard. It's like the thing with any of the things, like the fence. Schumer was in favor of the fence. Pelosi was in favor of the fence. Biden was in favor of the fence. Trump runs for office and says fence. They're all against it. Now that's a racist, xenophobic position. Not when they took it, but when he did. They're a pathetic political party, and the press is as pathetic. I mean, she's a pathetic jerk. But she really got knocked out when she asked him, "Oh my God, you're in the National Guard in New York." Well, the governor did. Don't you know that? Probably not, even though she lives in New York. So it looks like the president is very, very serious about sticking to this issue and trying to bring crime down all over. And by the way, the federal government can help a lot with gun crime. There's a lot of federal statutes that can be used. And also, I actually didn't realize, I was very interested in hearing what Congressman Wallace said, because one of the things that we did, particularly when I became mayor, we enforced very, very strictly the gun laws. That continued through Michael Bloomberg's term in office too. If you got caught with a gun, you went to jail for 1 year for sure. Even accidental. I don't know if you remember the famous case of the giant football player, Plexico Burress, who shot himself in the foot. He had to go to jail because he had an illegal gun. And it was illegal in the sense he had registered it in Florida, but not in New York. Now, that happened under Bloomberg. And I always wondered what I would have done, because I was a big Giant fan. And the Giants were on the way to the Super Bowl, and Plexico shot himself in the foot, and boom, there goes the season. But in any event, homelessness. You know, there's an excellent article. It was pointed out in the Post today, and here's the article from Chronicles magazine by a man named Adam Mill. And the point that he makes is that I mean, a lot of the crime problem in the cities and the quality of life problem in the cities is because of the problem of homelessness. And he points out, this of course wouldn't mean every organization, but more than you'd like to think, organizations that fight homelessness are paid to fail. Their budgets go up when they fail. So if they were to wipe out homelessness, they don't get any money. Homelessness goes up, they have to hire 10 more people. They have to give them raises. They can take raises. And these homeless contracts are stupendous. And I don't know if you remember the contracts for the illegal aliens. They were totally ridiculous. And now Adams' people are under investigation for a kickback scheme involving that. And of course, there have been any number of investigation and cases, and in New York too, of homeless situations like that. So it works pretty much the same way. You jack up the contract, put a lot of extra money in it, and then everybody gets kickbacks, and the homeless operator makes a lot more than it looks like he makes because he has an interest in the security company that's hired. He has an interest in the catering company that's hired. He has an interest in the transportation company that's hired, because the contract has all of these parts to it. They are very rich contracts. This is $1 billion business in the United States, homelessness. Don't think of it, and don't think of these not-for-profits as wonderful charitable organizations. They're just as likely to be crooked as to be honest. I investigated so many of them. I can't imagine they change very much. And the very investigation that is screwing up the mayor of New York involves whacking up money from the very, very rich, overly funded, maybe 3 times more than you really need, contracts. And then states like New York and the crooked Democrat states always go for the highest option. They go for the highest option, not because they want better services, because there's more money to kick around, more money to steal. So this, no one ever really made this point quite as well as Adam does here in the shocking hypocrisy and callousness of the left's homeless outrage. It's really a homeless industry. More homelessness means more demand for more programs. But the institutions they work for have an incentive to make these people successful. Fixing the homeless problem begins by refusing to allow the homeless to occupy the public square. They do not have a constitutional right to inflict misery on the taxpayer. In 2023, the Supreme Court reiterated this in Grants Pass versus John. Well, I mean, that's the first thing that I did. This is like reliving the things that I did as U.S. attorney and mayor. I was down to almost no homelessness, and Bloomberg came back a little bit under Mike, but it came back big time ridiculous under de Blasio. He did away with all of the reforms and changed it completely. In fact, I wrote an article about it toward the beginning of his administration, saying you can tell a mayor doesn't love his city if there are homeless people, because to let a person remain homeless shows that you're a pretty callous son of a bitch. Just from that point of view, I can't imagine as a mayor how I would let people sleep on the street. For their good, they turn violent. Also, do you know that housing is the issue for about 4% of them? What are the issues? Straight out and out, just poverty, tremendous poverty. Very small percentage for that, too. Big percentages now. Drugs, alcohol, crime. That's about 80%. So now you put them on the street. Let's say they have a mental issue. What do you think happens if you live on the street to a paranoid schizophrenic? He becomes a very, very serious, violent paranoid schizophrenic. And if he's not, there's plenty of them around to beat him up or kill him. So this is not a solution that you perpetuate. This is something that you deal with as an emergency issue because people are on the street, but you work your tail off to make sure that people aren't living on the street. Streets are not for sleeping. They're not for urinating, and they're not for defecating, right? That's what we kind of figured out in the Middle Ages somewhere. But the Democrats, in many ways, don't care because these people become a captured vote for them. They'll round them up and bring them in to vote and give them a little money to do it. Well, I don't know what Lavrov is all about, but when you look at what's going on with Ukraine, it's just a damn tragedy. You just think of there was the meeting in Alaska. It looked like, although people were disappointed, a lot of people were disappointed they wanted to cease fire, there were some very major breakthroughs that made you see a road toward an agreement because Putin had made concessions about an effective that Ukraine. The toughest one was he wanted the Donbass region, or a good portion of it that he doesn't have. He wanted that, and we'll get into that in a little while. That's critical even now. But some of that would have been ameliorated. Some of that would have been ameliorated by his agreeing to allow, or not objecting to, in terms of the peace agreement, a peace accord with Ukraine, where he would first of all promise not to invade, and the European countries and the United States would support Ukraine, and they would have to agree not to join NATO, but they can have a security arrangement similar to what they would get in NATO. They just wouldn't have the other things that go along with NATO. So that seemed like you could get to a solution of that. And he also seemed to be prepared to give some territory or to cede the other three areas where he was asking for more territory originally, and to not insist on a lot of the ridiculous things that he was saying, like Ukraine should demilitarize. Well, all of a sudden, we now have him last week, or not him, but leaks through Lavrov say first of all, the security agreement has to be approved by Russia. They have a veto power over it, or even a formulation role, and they want China to come into it. Well, that's just done to screw around. That's absurd. What's the point in having the security against Russia, and you're going to let them have a veto power over it? You might as well not have a security agreement. That's done just to delay this thing. That's an absurd thing to ask in a negotiation if you're serious about wanting to have peace. It's not absurd to ask for Donbass. It might be absurd to give it to them, but it's not absurd to ask for it. But it is absurd to say, well, it has to be done just to screw up the peace agreement. Then he now is going back to, he wants all the other regions as well, not just Donbass. And he wants basically a demilitarized Ukraine. Now, this weekend, Lavrov added a whole new one, which, according to the people at the meeting, including the vice president, is completely contrary to what Putin said at the meeting. And that is that they can't really negotiate with Zelensky because he's not really legitimately the president of Ukraine, because he extended his term. Now, I believe the Constitution of Ukraine provides that you shouldn't have an election during a time of war. So the reason they're not having an election is a legal one, and it's because Putin invaded them. And So let's listen to Lavrov's interview. I think we have that, right?
I will look in. Okay,
Yeah, let's listen to that.
Well, I would say that those who are sincerely interested in understanding what is going on should know by now that never ever Russia deliberately targeted any sites which are not linked to military abilities of Ukraine.
This is an electronics factory, though, sir. This is an electronics factory. I've spoken to people on the ground there. It builds coffee machines, among other electronics. This is not a military site.
Well, I understand that some people are really naive, and when they see a coffee machine in the window, they believe that this is the place where coffee machines are produced. Our intelligence has very good information. And we target only, as I said, either military enterprises, military sites, or industrial enterprises directly involved in producing military equipment for Ukrainian army.
You can almost look at his face and see he isn't serious, because he knows the demands the demands are put in to be roadblocks to being able to get to an agreement in the next couple of weeks or in a month, or because they want to kill more Ukrainians, and they want to try to get as much territory as they can grab for as long as they can grab. For them, a long, long war with Ukraine would be exactly what they want, because it would wear Ukraine down. They don't. I mean, meanwhile, they're losing troops like 3 times what Ukraine. I mean, they're. If the calculation was made, if Putin had to fight to get what he's asking for now, he could lose as many as a million more troops. Well, actually, over 1 million troops. That would mean taking the Donbass. If he could take it, he's been trying to take it from forever. And the reason it's important is it's a very, very fortified position. The reality is that if he gets it, he's got pretty much a free run into Ukraine. Even the topography favors him once you get beyond the 2 major cities that are the big fortifications that he wants. So this has become a situation where the president, who has all the cards really if he wants to play them, the president has to hit him hard, really, really hard, both with sanctions and with equipment for Ukraine. Also, it appears as if, I don't know how true this is, but it appears that the Pentagon has stopped Ukraine from using the missiles beyond about a couple hundred miles into Russia. The missiles that we gave them, I don't know what good they are if they can't be used. Now, it isn't right that they can bomb all the way over on the western end of Ukraine, Lviv, and they can't do the same. They can't hit Moscow. They've been hitting Kyiv, which is the capital. They've been hitting the cities. They did an attack the other day that was so close to Poland that Poland had to scramble its air force. So Zelensky should be able to hit back, but he's got to get from Hegseth in order to do that. And it goes through, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that I think it goes through Eldridge Colby, who is the Pentagon Undersecretary for Policy, and he's the one who pretty much has been very favorable to Russia and very unfavorable to Ukraine throughout. So he's going to say no. And meanwhile, the president pointed out the other day that Zelensky should have the ability to hit inside Russia since they're hitting him. So I don't know what's going on here, but I think the president maybe should bring Pete and this guy Colby in. And maybe somebody else should be put in charge of it, not Colby. He may have a bias or a prejudice here. I mean, you got to have an open mind. You've got to be objective in order to handle this right. There's too much at stake. This is a very, very serious situation if Putin were to get what he wants, both with regard to Putin and with regard to China. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to have with us our friend Ali Reza, Jeff Sardati, who is going to talk to us about a situation in Iran that's quite startling. And this video has existed for quite some time. It answers an awful lot of questions from the people who lie about the availability of an alternative, and a strong alternative to the reign of terror. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice, speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LindellTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LindellTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Too many pharmacies and insurance companies are blocking the medications that actually work. That's why I recommend All Family Pharmacy. They give you access to treatments like ivermectin now, starting at just $2 a capsule. They also have methylene blue, hydroxychloroquine, and so much more. They're helping you stay prepared, and they've dropped their prices by 25%. Also use promo code LindellTV, you save even more. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell. Use promo code LindellTV and get the medicine you need. If you want to drop extra pounds, boost energy levels, and reduce swelling in your legs and feet, then this message is for you. Pure Health Research is on a mission to make America healthy again. And two of their best-selling health supplements are leading the way. First is Liver Health Formula. Over 100 million Americans have a sluggish liver that's riddled with fatty deposits. This can kill your metabolism, pile on the pounds, and make you feel tired. Liver Health Formula takes care of that. It supports thriving liver health with special nutrients like artichoke extract and milk thistle. This is one of the easiest ways to slim down and revitalize your energy levels. Next is lymph system support. If you struggle with fluid buildup or swelling in your legs, ankles, and feet, this is for you. The natural ingredients in lymph system support help gently flush away extra fluid and toxins out of your body. And right now, for a limited time, you can get 35% off Liver Health Formula and Lymph System Support, along with 50 plus other health supplements that Pure Health Research has to offer. So head over to purehealthresearch.com and use promo code Lindell at checkout. That's purehealthresearch.com, promo code Lindell to save 35% on your order today. With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Welcome back. This is Rudy Giuliani, and we have with us Alireza Jeff Sardardi, who is one of the leaders of the resistance movement, has been involved in it for many, many years, probably is one of the most knowledgeable people in the United States on both the history and what's going on in Iran right now. And tell us tell us about this tape, which goes back, 2 or 3 years, right? And all of a sudden it gets put out today, and it's remarkable. I mean, among other things, it points out what you and I and so many others have been saying, and all of the I don't know what we want to call them, the regime lovers say the MEK is not important and the MEK doesn't mean anything. Meanwhile, the Ayatollah has actually pointed out that the MEK is the only organization that can replace them. That's why he was worried about them. He's actually said it. So tell us about this video.
Sure. First of all, Mayor, this is such a great pleasure to be on your show, as always. Really appreciate the opportunity. The tape you're referring to that was also tweeted by the President of the United States, retweeted actually by him on his Truth social media platform, is a confession by a senior official of the Iranian regime who was the former deputy speaker of the parliament of the regime, a sitting member of parliament between 2008 and 2020. And he said in an interview that was recently publicized that, that the goal of the Iran regime since day one that they got involved in nuclear activities has always been to build a bomb. And he said we were moving forward until the MEK, which is the main Iranian opposition movement fighting the Ayatollahs, until the MEK actually exposed it. And he said if they hadn't done it, we could have become like Pakistan. And he mentions, specifically Pakistan. We could have moved forward, done the testing, and it would be a done deal. Then nobody else would be able to do anything. Clearly showing.
Alireza, is he referring to the original discovery by MEK of the enrichment of uranium? Oh, I think we've lost you.
There
we are.
Yes, the 2002 revelation of the nuclear site in Natanz, where the MEK found out about the information, they shared it, and we had a press conference right here in Washington, D.C. at the Willard Hotel on August 14, 2002, exposing all of the details about the Natanz enrichment, uranium enrichment facility, which until then no one knew about it. And it was that revelation that triggered the inspections of Iranian nuclear sites by the UN nuclear watchdog known as the IAEA. Before then, there were no inspections, no presence of the IAEA in Iran. And then it was that revelation that triggered a lot of the other unearthing of information about that eventually led to the world knowing about what the Ayatollahs were all about. It led to 6 UN Security Council resolutions imposing sanctions on the Iranian regime. So,
Alireza, you also made other discoveries along the way, like in 2005, I think, right?
There was a whole host of revelation that followed after the 2002 Natanz revelation. Actually, within 1 year, 4 major press conferences was held right here in Washington, exposing nuclear sites. The Labizan Xi'an, which became one of the major cases of contention between the IAEA and Iran, where they later found traces of highly enriched uranium.
And actually, you also held a press conference about a month and a half ago, just right before the Israeli and the American actions in Iran, to point out that they were now they had this gigantic facility in the desert for expanding their missiles, which of course proved again that this was for offensive purposes. You wouldn't need missiles if you wanted the peaceful use of uranium. And I think that had something to do with Israel and the United States probably knew they were going to have to do this, but this made it really necessary to do it right away.
Well, you get back to the revelations you mentioned, that those revelations continued, and in 2005, we exposed the underground facility in Fordo, where deep under the mountains, they were building a facility to install, centrifuges to enrich uranium. That's where they were actually enriching uranium to 60%, very close to weapons grade. And also throughout these years, we had over 130 cases of revelations that we made over a span of 2 decades that show the complete picture of the Iran regime, that they were building nuclear weapons. It's not about energy. None of the work they're doing is about energy, but also a necessary component of that was their missile program, which is a necessary part of a nuclear program. You can't have a nuclear bomb without the ability to deliver it.
Well, let's play.
Yes.
We're going to run out of time, so I want to play his video too.
Okay,
this is Ali Motahari. Is that his name?
Yes, Ali Motahari was a member of parliament for many years, very conservative member, close to Khamenei for years. And he's the one who's making the interview, making the confession.
Well, let's give it a try, Ted. Let's put it on.
We got the video.
As you can see, he says, this is in Farsi, of course, but he says that,
هدف کی این بوده؟ یعنی افراد خاصی و کل نظام
یا همه اونایی که it says the whole system were behind it
واقعا هدف
and they wanted to build the bomb.
نه حالا بسازیم که بترسونیم. یعنی فقط صرفاً
He said what was the goal was that we wanted to have leverage, to have the ability, and then he said and then we couldn't keep it secret. It was exposed by the MEK. It was the MEK who exposed it, he says. And then he said, how did they expose it? How did they find out about it? And he basically says that they are everywhere. He's talking about the MEK being everywhere, having the ability to monitor and to have an impact on the whole society. And, and then the reporter asked him, aren't you afraid that you're saying all of these things and we're actually building the bomb? And he said, well, no one is paying attention to me. He said, well, the whole world is going to find out about it. And of course, that's what you hear. You see that. He says 100% the program was for building the bomb. That was the whole project since day one.
Is his saying that it was MEK that revealed it and that they're everywhere, meaning they're everywhere in Iran, which is a complete contradiction of your enemies, of which there are many, because a lot of pro-Iranian, pro-regime types have infiltrated the government. A lot more than we'd like to think.
It's the ability of the movement to be able to find out about the secrets of the regime everywhere, not just on the nuclear issue, about their terror network, about their repression inside Iran. And also, this is the movement that is engine behind change in Iran. They are the engine behind the uprisings in Iran. They're the main target of repression inside the country, the main target of their terrorism outside of Iran, when they had, huge rallies and the regime wanted to bomb it. And this is the movement that is calling for firmness against the regime. Next week, Mayor, on September 6th, that's a Saturday, next Saturday, in Brussels, the pretty much capital of Europe, the MEK supporters, NCRI supporters, tens of thousands of them are gathering to call for imposing snapback of all the sanctions on the Iranian regime, to call for free Iran, to call for regime change, and to call for supporting the 10-point platform of Mrs. Mariam Rajavi. She's the leader of the same movement that exposed all these nuclear sites and is trying to bring about change to establish a democratic, free, non-nuclear republic form of a government, negating
the point
of the Shah and the current theocracy.
But I think the interesting thing is, in a strange way, she has the endorsement of the Ayatollah, because he said the only organization he's worried about that could have the resources to take over would be MEK, and the MEK has, in addition to the great work in bringing out the nuclear ambitions of Iran, the MEK has also worked with other organizations in a very, very big umbrella movement in which you have a shadow government ready to be an interim government for, 6 or 9 months to bring things to a democratic election. And the 10-point program, which we've gone over very often on the show, I hope people remember it. But I mean, the main features of it are, first of all, it would be a non-nuclear Iran. It would not be a religious state. It would be a state in which there'd be freedom of religion. Very important, freedom for women. I mean, the organization is run by a woman, and women are just about as equally involved in it as men. If you go to your facilities, whether it's Ashraf or the other ones around the world, there are just as many women as men involved in it, including in the military work that has to be done. So this would be extraordinary to have, the transition guided by a woman and by people who have been involved in this for 10, 20, 30 years, not, newcomers that don't know anything about Iran. Very different than what we've had in other countries where we didn't have an organization, ready to go, that's thought its way through this and has proved itself. So thank you very much, Ali Reza. We're near the end, but this was very, very helpful to get this out. And we'll have you back this week to talk more about this. People need to know more about it, particularly the capacity of MEK and the related organizations to guide a transition.
Well, thank you
Take
so
care of
much,
yourself.
Mayor. Thank you so much, Mayor, for really being on top of this issue from day one and educating the American public, educating the world, reminding people that as horrible as the Ayatollahs are, at the same time, the people of Iran are exactly the opposite. There is an organized force. There is a solution. We don't have to live with the Ayatollahs and their proxies in the region forever. To the contrary, the prospect for change has never been so great. Think about it, Mayor. A free Iran, a democratic Iran, a non-nuclear republic form of a government would replace the head of the snake of war and terror in Tehran. What a difference it will make. What an impact it will have everywhere.
Oh, thank you very much.
It was great to see you, Ali Reza.
It was really great to see you, Ali Reza. You take care of yourself. They've attempted to kill this man a couple of times. So that's why when I say that, it's quite serious. Let me also point out as we close out that there was a poll released today, or maybe the day before, it was covered today, in which 7,000 people were surveyed inside Iran, and 80% want to see the Ayatollah and the regime of terror go. 80%, 8 out of 10. And something like 63, 64, 65% do not want to have a religious government They want to have a government that is allows you to practice your religion without all of these restrictions. So there's a movement going on there, and MEK and the council, the overriding council, is ready, willing, and quite capable of both guiding this without any American troops on the ground, and also guiding the transition. And you heard it right from the mouth of a very dedicated Islamic extremist. They're very frightened of MEK, and they're killing them left and right, unfortunately. So we'll pray for the people of Iran and the people of Israel and the people of Ukraine, of course, and the people of America, and for the president. And we'll be back tomorrow night and go over now to X, and we will continue with this and all of the other incredible things that are going on today. Really quite a busy day in making America great again. God bless America.